These are the notes 4.2b and 4.2a. You learned how to solve equations with variables on both sides. Now we're going to look at variables on both sides, but we have to do the distributive property before we combine like terms. So if we look at number 26 here, we have 24y equals, and then we're multiplying the 8 times 1 minus 2y. So we're using the distributive property. We cannot subtract 1 minus 2y because they're not like terms. So we have to distribute this out. Again, our goal here is to get the y all by itself and find out its value. So nothing to do on the left side. 24y stays 24y. And then we distribute out. 8 times 1 is 8 minus 8 times 2 is 16y. Okay, 8 times the 2y will give you 16y. Again, always suggested to do the leave change opposite, change subtraction to addition, and make the next number its opposite. So subtracting 16y is the same thing as adding negative 16y. So now we want to get the y's together on the same side. So we want to bring these negative 16y's over to the left side of the equal sign there. So as you remember, to get rid of things, we do the opposite of what they're doing. So we have adding of negative 16y. So the opposite of 16 negatives is 16 positive. So we're going to add 16y to both sides. And again, we have to do that to both sides of the equal sign so that our equal sign is still telling the truth, like a balance beam or a scale. You know, we want them to be completely equal, the left and the right. So whatever we do to one side, we have to do the exact same thing to the other. So on the left side here, 24 plus the 16 will give us 40y. 24y's plus 16y's, those are like terms, so we can add them, will equal 8. The negative 16 and positive 16y's cancel each other out because they equal 0. So really what you're left with is 8 plus 0, which is the 8 that we brought down. So now we want to get, again, the y by itself. So we need to get rid of the 40. And the 40 is multiplying the y. So the opposite of multiplying by 40 is to divide it by 40. Divide by 40 on both sides of the equal sign. So 40 over 40, those cancel because they equal 1. 40 divided by 40 is 1. And then 1 times your y, or y divided by 1, would equal y. So you bring down your equal sign. And then you can do 8 divided by 40 and get a decimal, or you can simply leave it as a fraction and simplify it, and 8 over 40 will simplify to 1/5. So you can have y equals 1/5 or y equals 0.2. Either answer is fine. Okay. If you want to try 28, you see you got two distributive properties going on there. If you want to try that, go ahead and hit pause and give it a shot. So again, my suggestion is always to get rid of the subtraction signs so that you know if the number is positive number or negative. So I go through and I change all subtraction to addition and make the next number its opposite. So minus 3y is plus negative 3y, minus 9y is plus negative 9y, minus 2y is plus negative 2y. So you're not changing the problem at all. You know, subtracting 2y is the same as adding negative 2y. Subtracting 9y is the same as adding negative 9y. So we're just making everything addition, getting rid of all of our subtraction signs. Now you distribute out. 5 times the 2 is 10. So again, the outside number times both numbers on the inside. So 5 times 2 is 10, plus 5 times negative 3 is negative 15, and the y is still with it. Now the 5 does not multiply the negative 9y because the negative 9y is not in the parentheses that the 5 is attached to. So we just leave that as plus negative 9y. Then we distribute out the 4 times the 3 and the 4 times the negative 2y. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 4 times negative 2 is negative 8y. So 4 times the negative 2y is negative 8y. First thing we want to do is combine like terms. So we know on the left side here we have negative 15y and negative 9y, and those are like terms, so we can add them together. So nothing we can do with the 10. 10 will stay 10. Plus 15 negative y's plus 9 negative y's will give you negative 24 y's equals 12 plus negative 8y. And again, we cannot add the 12 and the negative 8y because they are not like terms. So now the next step is to get those variables, the y's, on the same side. And I always bring the y's on the right side over to the left side. So how would we get rid of negative 8y's? Well, we would add 8y's. So the opposite of negative 8y is positive 8y plus 8y. So you notice we added 8y's to both sides of the equal sign. So 10 is not affected at all. 10 stays 10 plus 24 negatives plus 8 positive y's would give us negative 16 y's. Again, you can use your calculator there. You don't need the y with it. Just type in negative 24 plus 8, and you'll get negative 16. Bring down your equal sign, and then we're not doing anything with the 12. So these cancel because they equal 0. So 12 plus 0 would give you 12. So we're getting a step closer. Again, the ultimate goal, get the variable by itself. So now we need to get rid of the 10, and we need to get rid of that negative 16 if we're going to get y all by itself. So the first thing we always want to get rid of is that number not attached to our variable. So we want to get rid of that plus or minus number, in this case the 10. So this is 10 positives. So to get rid of 10 positives, we would subtract 10 from both sides. Again, there's your equal sign. You see we subtracted 10 from both sides of the equal sign. So 10 minus 10, they cancel because it would equal 0. 0 plus negative 16y would give us negative 16y. Bring down your equal sign. 12 minus 10 is 2. And now the negative 16, that's not subtracting from the y. It is multiplying. It's negative 16 is multiplying the y. And the opposite of multiplying by negative 16 is to divide by negative 16. So you divide both sides by negative 16. The negative 16s cancel each other out because they equal 0. Anything divided by itself, equals 1. Anything divided by itself is always 1, and 1 times y is y. And then you can just simplify 2 over negative 16, which would be negative 1 over 8. So y would equal negative 1/8. If you did divide that out, if you typed in your calculator 2 divided by 16, you would get 0.125, and that's a good answer as well, either one of those. Don't round that to the tenths or anything, write the whole thing. So y equals 0.125, or y equals, it should be negative 0.125, or y equals negative 1/8. Okay, so that's 2. If you want to try one now, if you feel more comfortable, go ahead and give number 30 here a shot. You can hit pause and find the answer to number 30. 4/5 m minus 1 minus 1/5. So again, I always do leave change opposites, get rid of all my subtraction signs. And again, you're using your calculators here. So we distribute out 4/5 times both those numbers inside of the parentheses it's attached to. So 4/5 times m would be 4/5 m, plus 4/5 times the negative 1 would be negative 4/5. Anything times negative 1 is just its opposite. So 4/5 times the 1 is 4/5, and since it's negative 1, it's going to be negative 4/5. Plus we're adding a negative 1/5 m equals 1. So now we want to combine all of our like terms. So we have the 4/5 m and the negative 1/5 m. So we're adding that, and that would give us 3/5 m. So 3/5 m. And then we cannot add the negative 4/5 because it does not have an m attached to it. So it's not a like term at all. So now again, we got to get the m by itself. So we need to get rid of the 3/5 and the negative 4/5. And we want to get rid of that negative 4/5 first. Always get rid of that plus or minus number first. So to get rid of negative 4/5, we will just add 4/5 to both sides. Okay, so negative 4/5 and plus 4/5 equals 0, leaving us with 3/5 m equals 1 plus 4/5, which is 1 and 4/5. Now we got to get rid of the 3/5 that is attached to the m, and it's multiplying the m. So to get rid of a multiplying 3/5, we would divide by 3/5. So that big fraction bar here means we're dividing, top divided by the bottom, and then we have to divide the right side by 3/5. These 3/5 cancel each other out because they equal 1, and m equals, and then you can use your calculator. Again, fractions, you would type in 1 ABC 4 ABC 5 divided by 3 ABC 5 into your calculator, and you would get 3. So m equals 3. All right, last one. Number 32. 6 and 3.2y minus 1 equals 3.6. So again, distributive leave change opposite first, addition and -1, and then we're going to have to use the distributive property here. So 6 times the 3.2 would be 19.2y plus -6. The 6 times the -1 would give us -6, so plus -6 equals 3.6. So now again, the goal here is to get the y by itself. So we need to get rid of two numbers. We need to get rid of this -6 and the 19.2. If we can get rid of those two numbers, the y will be by itself. And whatever's left on the other side is what the value of y is. So the first thing we want to get rid of is the plus or minus number. So in this case, we want to get rid of plus -6. So to get rid of 6 negatives, we would add 6 to both sides. These would cancel because they equal 0. 6 negatives and 6 positives equal 0. And that would give us 19.2y equals 9.6. And then now we want to get rid of the 19.2 that is attached to and on the same side as the y. So the 19.2 is right next to it, which means it's multiplying. The opposite of multiplying is to divide. So we divide both sides by 19.2. These 19.2's cancel, leaving us with the y all by itself. And then 9.6 divided by 19.2 would give us 0.5. And there's your value for y. All right, so if you need to watch those again for help, go ahead and do so. And then your homework is to do these 4 problems on the board. So they're similar problems as to what I just worked out. So use the video to help you, and then try your best on those 4 and bring them to class with you with all your work shown tomorrow.